In the bitter winter of 1841, whispers spread among the farmers of Salem County, New Jersey, about a boy who materialized at their doorsteps like a specter emerging from the blizzard. Frail and slight, his face bore the innocence of a child no older than 12. He pleaded for shelter, his voice quivering from cold and despair. What they couldn't have known was that Joshua Bennett had remained 12 years old for 2 decades, and behind those guileless blue eyes lurked the cunning intellect of a predator who had mastered the art of exploiting kindness. By the time the bodies were discovered, 7 families had been stripped of everything they owned, and the boy who never aged had dissolved into the wilderness of New Jersey like mist. Before we delve deeper into the tale of Joshua Bennett and the fear that gripped Salem County, if dark historical mysteries like this captivate you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell. Drop a comment below telling us which state you're listening from. We love hearing from our audience across the country. Now, let's unravel the horrifying truth about the predator who concealed himself behind a child's visage. Salem County in 1841 was a quilt of humble farms and close-knit communities spread across the fertile lowlands of southern New Jersey. Unlike its notorious counterpart in Massachusetts, this Salem was steeped in Quaker tradition, where monthly meetings dictated communal life with firm but gentle authority. Its 20,000 residents lived by the cycles of harvest and devotion, their wooden homes linked by dirt roads that turned to treacherous swamps in winter. The land was shaped by faith and migration. German Lutherans toiled alongside English Quakers, while Irish Catholics settled near the industrial towns along the Delaware River. The Mexican-American War had just concluded, leaving a mix of national pride and economic unease. Returning veterans found their jobs occupied by new immigrants, and families stashed their savings in mason jars beneath floorboards, trusting banks no more than politicians. The Hartwells embodied this wary prosperity. Samuel Hartwell, a rugged man of 43, had spent 15 years coaxing life from 60 acres of stubborn soil. His wife, Patience, carried the austere grace typical of Quaker women, her graying hair always neatly tucked beneath a plain bonnet. Their 3 children, Martha 15, Thomas 13, and little Rebecca 8, had known only the stability of their father's diligence and their mother's steadfast faith. Samuel's success wasn't just from toil. He had an uncanny knack for predicting weather, knowing precisely when to plant, harvest, or sell his grain at the Salem City market. Neighbors joked he could scent profit on the wind, and they weren't entirely wrong. By the autumn of 1841, the Hartwells had amassed nearly $400, a sum that could secure a man's future or doom his family, depending on who uncovered it. That October, as the leaves darkened to the hue of dried blood and frost warnings sent farmers scrambling, unsettling rumors began circulating through churches and meeting houses. Families spoke in hushed tones of a peculiar boy who appeared at farmhouse doors, always alone, always at dusk. He was slight and pale, with piercing blue eyes and hair so fair it seemed almost white in lamplight. Most unnerving of all, he never seemed to age, sparking whispers of supernatural explanations no one dared voice aloud. But Joshua Bennett was entirely human, and far more dangerous than any ghost. Born in 1809 in the Pine Barrens of central New Jersey, his growth had halted at age 12 due to a rare condition that modern medicine might diagnose, but which 1840's doctors dismissed as frailty. By 32, he stood just over 4 feet tall, his face frozen in perpetual youth while his mind sharpened with decades of bitter experience. Joshua discovered his gift during the Panic of 1837, when economic collapse left families destitute and desperate. Approaching a Methodist family in Trenton, he claimed to be an orphan whose parents had succumbed to cholera. Moved by piety and his pitiable appearance, they took him in only for him to vanish weeks later with their savings and their grandmother's silver. The revelation was profound. People saw only what they expected, and they expected a helpless child. Over the next 4 years, Joshua refined his methods with precision. He learned to soften his voice, feign a stutter, and study his targets for weeks before striking. He memorized scripture and fabricated tragedies tailored to each community's fears. Most crucially, he mastered patience, waiting months to earn trust before acting. His approach was devastating. Arriving during storms or bitter cold, he spun tales of survival. House fires, cholera outbreaks, even Indian raids. Each story varied, but the outcome didn't. Pious families, bound by duty, welcomed him in. Once inside, he played the perfect guest. He helped with chores, joined prayers, and charmed children with stories and tricks. Parents marveled at his maturity, attributing it to hardship. Meanwhile, Joshua noted every detail: where they kept their money, what valuables they owned, who might pose a threat. The thefts were exercises in misdirection. He struck when fathers were away or families were at church, taking only cash and portable items, leaving behind anything that might raise immediate alarm. By the time the loss was noticed, days or weeks later, the orphan boy was long gone, spinning new lies elsewhere. But Salem County would be different. Here, Joshua would meet people who refused to let him vanish, and his carefully constructed world would begin to crumble.